Despite agriculture's central role in Nigeria's economy and food security, the federal government has committed an average of just about 1.4% of its annual budget to the sector over the past 9 years. This has been raising concerns among industry practitioners about the pace of agricultural development in the country. Chairman of Origin Tech Group, Joseph Samuel, stated this over the weekend in Lagos while speaking at the 25th anniversary of the company. He said that government intervention in agriculture was inevitable, but regretted that funding levels had not matched the sector's strategic importance to national growth, employment, and security. Prince Samuel also touched on other challenges confronting Nigeria's agricultural sector, particularly mechanization, productivity, and food security. He now joins me on this program to take a look at the agriculture sector and all of that. Good to see you, Prince Samuel. You're welcome to This Day Live, the Sunday Talk Show.
Thank you, Egmabati.
Okay, very quickly. First, let me congratulate you, 25 years and still going in the business. But you made a statement, and you were quoted, by the media, that the Nigerian government successively had devoted only about 1.4% of the budget to agriculture. And yet, from the very past, from the military era to the present, we have been told that agriculture is the mainstay of the economy. So many initiatives, Operation Feed the Nation, Green Revolution, Bank of Agriculture, Bank of Industry, NISAL, all kinds of initiatives. And yet, what Nigeria makes available is 1.4%. And then, of course, the Maputo Declaration on agriculture says the minimum should be 10%. However, if you look at it in terms of figures, the Tinubu administration will seem to have put in about 600 billion naira, in terms of support, but yet Nigerians cannot say that they have seen the outcomes. Where is the problem?
Thank you very much, Nigerians, and thank you for having me on this program today. Well, Nigeria and agriculture over the last 50 years has seen its ups and downs. First off, let me backtrack a little bit. In the 80s, Nigeria fortunately reached up to 8.5% of the GDP investment on agriculture. And as at 2007, Nigeria reached 4.7%. And from that time till now, we've seen a decline in terms of size of investment to GDP. But that is not the challenge. The challenge is not even the size of investment. The challenge is the size of the problem that impedes the development of agriculture in Nigeria. Over time, the Nigerian population has increased. Desertification is here. And globally, the competitiveness of agriculture has also been a challenge, requiring more investment. Because you see agriculture over the years have moved from subsistent agriculture, where you can do in your backyard, to heavily intensive agriculture that required heavy investment in terms of tools. And to do this, it has now gone from you having 1 hectare of land, 2 hectares of land, and doing successful agriculture to require high-tech investment to be able to do it successfully. This is actually the bane of the problem. But again, to look at why is it that we have huge land, huge population, but the agricultural investment is not tying up. It's because Nigeria over the years have not developed its forests into land. We still have large forests, but we don't have enough arable land. In terms of land that has been cleared, land that has abundant water, land that you can get there if you put in, say, 100 million naira or 50 million naira and you start farming. You need to have first put that 50 million into clearing the land to make it a farm. and then you then look for money to begin to till that particular land. This means you require long-term investment to make that land into forest into land and then begin to invest in it. That is where the challenge is. Now, the neglect of the last, let me put it, 30, 40 years is actually has added more to the problem, because you've seen youths who are Gen Zs not wanting to do the type of agriculture who are cutlasses, but they want to do mechanized agriculture. These youths have migrated from the villages to the cities, neglecting agriculture. And why? Because they require tractors. Tractors requires good land that is arable in terms of using mechanized equipment. For example, the rate of damages of Nigerian tractors, the life expectancy of a tractor is between 25 to 50 years. But in Nigeria, you find a tractor between 5 to 10 years. If you get a tractor that lasts 10 years, you've done very well in Africa. And this is because of maintenance, and it's because of the poor preparation of the land. When land has more stump, when the land has more roots on the ground, then it's not possible to do good agriculture.
Okay,
so
Prince,
this is a part of the problem.
Okay, Prince, let me go back to the president's speech. He talked about defense and security, health and education, and also infrastructure, four priority areas in that budget. And then agriculture, which we say is the mainstay. He talked about it almost parenthetically in paragraphs 35, 36, 37, under the heading infrastructure and I think productivity. And he was saying, basically, that the government is going to have 7 agri-hubs in regions of Nigeria. They will be focused on financing. Bank of Agriculture having been told to provide the financing, mechanization, and I think he also talked about the value chain. Are you satisfied that that will solve the problem just by saying so?
Well, I have seen the current administration doing a lot of strategic works in terms of re-engineering the sector. And I must commend them that at least we are saying the right things. The budget is focused on developing what they call mechanization hubs. And these mechanization hubs is supposed to support farmers, smallholder farmers. And these smallholder farmers, of course, to make the agriculture better. And that, I think, is a step in the right direction. To take Nigeria to be at par with the Committee of Nations, Nigeria will require to develop human resource now. Because that's a challenge. We need to really develop young people and make agri more attractive. And that is the work we are doing in Origin Group. These aspects of agriculture require real-time private capital. Government will enable it. For example, I hope and I believe that the mechanization hub should be focused on preparing land so that we can convert our forests into land and then private capital can come and farm on it. Subsistence farming is not the way for Nigeria. But again, let us commend the government, because without government, agriculture is not possible. Agriculture happens in the rural area, and you will wonder why a country, the most developing economies, focus on finding ways to ensure that their local people in remote areas are able to do agriculture successfully. And that means that government is enabling them by pushing capital to support them. So I think with the new effort of the government, we'll wait to see how it goes. But from my understanding, the mechanization hubs are supposed to support rural farmers. But now, when the farmers farm, how to bring it to market would be another thing the private sector would have to look at. Okay,
in terms of global average, productivity in agriculture, we are 14 times lower than the global average.
Correct.
And you are talking about globalization. Recently, the Tinubu administration brought in 2,000 tractors.
Correct.
So, I mean, well, on the surface of it, you say it shows some level of commitment. So where are those 2,000 tractors? Because we only heard that the tractors were supplied by an old classmate of the president. Do you have any information on how those tractors have been deployed and what kind of impact?
Well, so I think we should commend the president first for the import of those tractors. That's the first thing.
No, have they been deployed? Have they been put to use?
Well, that's part of the point I'm making here. Yes, we need tractors. Of course, you know, Nigerians, when the government come to power, we all cry, oh, we want this, we want cheaper food, and government responds sometimes in a hurry. In terms of the import of the tractor, is a step in the right direction. But when you import the tractors, then how do you deploy them? And I believe that the intention of the government, as at then, probably is to deploy the tractor to states and local government. And then when you look at the structure of the economy and you look at insecurity, you look at all the challenges surrounding it, you felt that, oh, should I deploy these tractors now? And before I know it, the bandits and all of that are excuses for vandalizing the tractors.
Excuses. I'm making excuses for
I believe I'm not, but I feel that as somebody who is in the sector, I should be able to tell you the truth of what is going on. But the truth of the matter is that the tractors have not yet been deployed. And I believe that they will soon be deployed. That's what I should believe. But
1 year after they were brought in.
Well, 1 year after they are brought in, they have not been deployed. And you know, like I said, what we require in Nigeria is actually to turn our forests into land and train our youth to be able to do this job. And all of these processes take time. It is easy to import tractors. It is easy. But it is more difficult to begin to put them into use. I am aware that some part of those tractors have been given to colleges of education, of agriculture, and some universities. I believe that those universities would have put those tractors into use by now. But as to deploying them to smallholder farmers, some of us believe it's not a viable thing to do, except you build those centers which government has put in the 2023.
Okay, I'm surprised that policy-wise, we've not been able to build on, you know, what each successive government has been doing. For example, during the Jonathan administration, we had a Minister of Agric, Dr. Akim Adishino, who used to say, agriculture is business.
Yes.
And that was his major thing. And he had this e-wallet system and a register for farmers all over Nigeria. All of a sudden, we're still hearing that 98% of farmers in Nigeria are operating at the smallholder and subsistence farming level. Now, what of the achievement? No achievement since the days of Operation Feed the Nation, Green Revolution, and all of that. DFRI even had food in it, Directorate of Food, Roads and Infrastructure. So is it that each government comes, he just plays to the gallery and then leave? The government leaves and then nothing else happens.
You know, the complexity of agriculture and the nature of agriculture make it look like this. Again, you need a very sincere, committed policy direction in terms of successive government following the same policy for agriculture to sustainably grow. I must say that during Akim Adishino, we achieved some milestone, particularly in rice and cassava. This milestone took Nigeria from a net importer to a major producer of rice and rice paddy. We also achieved that in cassava. I think that's a success we should give to that administration. Now, did we build on it? I would say yes, because we are still the largest producers of cassava in the world, and our rice value chain is still very good. The challenge sometimes, particularly with the rice value chain that I know, is the working capital availability to buy paddy and the competitiveness of this paddy in terms of pricing. So that achieved something. Now, did we build on those successes? That's a question for another day. Now, policy-wise, I believe that Nigeria have some of the best policy. Now, implementing these policies, I think what is missing is building the right enterprises and supporting those enterprises to sustain policy development. So if you look at the oil and gas sector, which you know very well, you will see the government set out a policy and Dangote and other key drivers of the economy, enterprises moved in, and that succeeded. You look at cement policy, you do that policy, then private sector moved in, it succeeded. What we have missed in agriculture is that we have not been able to support sustainably enterprises that would transit those policies into success in agriculture. If you look at our own group, we have seen it all in the last 25 years, particularly our agri mechanization group, which sells tractors, assemble tractors in Nigeria, supply to every government. We have seen all these policy ups and downs. For example, you will import equipment because policy says so, and then the equipment is on ground. Policy which said you should import is no longer buying. You will set up mechanization hubs, and then policy says so, and then policy is no longer supporting it. I think that yes, we need enterprises, but government must intentionally support enterprises to make these policies a success.
Okay, I guess when you talk about government,
yes,
the average Nigerian listening to this conversation, all of us, we are interested in food security.
Correct.
Because there's this saying that if a man is hungry, he will not listen to any other thing. Yeah. So food security is very important. Yeah. Now, in all of this is federal government, after all, I started with the budget and what successive governments have done. What can the state governments do, local governments also, because we shouldn't blame the federal government all the time. What role can they play in collaboration with the private sector? Because you said government can provide funds, enabling environment, the private sector should be involved. Role of states and local councils, and also that collaboration with private sector. How important is the private sector?
Well, you know, yes, it's federal government, but when you speak policy, most of the time when you talk to the federal government, of course, you cascade these policy directions down. And that's what has always happened. When federal government makes a policy, most of the states will buy in. And then local government will buy in. And then that policy can become a success. So whatever we say about the federal is what we say also about the states. Because if you look at it, if federal government buys 1,000 tractors a year, the total tractor sale in Nigeria every year is between 1,000 to 1,200. And that is very infinitesimal to the need of about 2-point-something million tractors required in Nigeria. So if you ask about collaborations, I think we are doing very well in terms of collaborations.
Can you give examples?
I give an example. Look at Niger State. Niger has built several collaborations, but you then have a government that has so many competing needs, to the extent that it requires support they need to give to enterprises and private capital that is coming in. You provide infrastructure to the farm, you cannot. Provide power to the farm, you cannot. Support us with land clearing, you cannot. When the state government don't have sufficient capital, then you have a problem. But they are doing very well. Take, for example, one of our subsidiaries' partnership with Lagos State, which is building the largest market, which is exactly what we're doing. We have seen that the right thing, what to do is to organize the market so that it can attract the right capital that will help transform or support production. And that's what we have done in Lagos. And you can see that that project is attracting massive capital, and that capital is now being moved to state government to produce or to local government to produce and supply Lagos. I think multiplying some of these things is what is required. And we must also remember that policy requires maturation. Just as Nigeria is also maturing gradually, even though slow, every country you've seen that has developed has matured its policy or developed its policy over and over and over many years, some 50, 100, 200, 300, 400 years to become what they are today. My thought would be for us to intensify our campaign for private sector to participate more, because they are the ones that will defend policies when they are about to fail, just like we see it play out recently with Dangote.
Okay. Well, I'm beginning to round up now.
Yes.
Now, Dr. The Director General of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Chinyere Almona, was saying that, look, the government should in fact prioritize agriculture. You know, the order that I defined in the budget 2026 was defense and security, health, education, and infrastructure. But she is saying it should be agriculture, human capital development, and also energy. So that, look, if you have agriculture will need power systems, it will need electricity, infrastructure, and also human capital development. Do you agree with that order in terms of prioritization? Or you think everything is interlinked, as the president was trying to suggest?
Well, for me, I would pick human capital development as number one. Nigeria need to do a lot of work in building skilled manpower, vocational skill manpower, technical skill manpower. I think agriculture require that skill now. So when people speak to agriculture, they have forgotten that agriculture has become so intensive and so high-tech. It requires a lot of deep science even to plant a seed today and plant it successfully. So yes, I say human resource, agriculture, and automotive, which is science and tech.
Energy.
Well, I feel very
Or you don't
strongly
need electricity
we
in
need a lot of energy. But see, if you do agriculture very well, you are going to develop very high-skilled people who will convert. Agriculture is the only trade that has almost all the trades inside it. You have civil in agriculture, you have mechanical, electrical, automotive, all of them within agriculture. Yes, you need energy, but in my priority, I'll put automotive.
Okay, but I know Origin Tech is also into automotive.
Yes, but
I hope you are not selling business.
No. But the reason why I'm saying this is that if you look at it, for every developed economy, there are two things you will see in the economy. One, they are net exporter of food. They are agri-intensive countries. Two, they are automotive intensive. Go and check it. Yes, we're still troubled by energy in Nigeria, but I think with the foray, by the grace of God, the success of Dangote, we have almost conquered that. And today, with solar energy, which you can buy cheaper than you will buy even diesel today, we have taken care of energy. I don't see energy as most of the challenge we have, as the skill required to even keep those energies working. And those skills you find from developing people who are committed to land development, who are disciplined, who are dedicated and committed, and then to people who have technical, vocational skills that can repair and maintain things. How many times did you go out today and you see a shop that repairs watches, shoes, how many of those do you see today? And that, for me, I think is the biggest concern that I have today about Nigeria. Everything you find that is damaged needs to be replaced. We don't even talk about repair again because there are no skilled workmen that will do it. I think that's what we should focus on. We are a net importer of almost everything, including toothpick. And that's because there's no vocational skill. And second, because people are not coming from a grassroots where they have seen something grow, seen something develop, and seen capital being built from a small farm to a medium-sized farm to a large farm to a farm that is fully mechanized. And that's how to appreciate the development of a nation. That is eroding our Nigeria as a whole. Let me give this for a parting shot. I recently had a conversation at high level. And I said, look, they said, our problem is insecurity. I said, that's not our problem. Our problem is that we have too many ungoverned areas. Just imagine that every local government in Nigeria is a multinational farm. Would you have bandits inside it? Our problem is line of sight. If you clear all the forest in Sambisa and convert it to a farm, 1,000 miles, 200 miles, 500 miles, 50 miles, you'll see somebody coming at you. And you'll be able to either run or find a way to attack him when he gets to you. Our problem is that most of our farms have been turned to forest. And we just need to get there and clear them out. And with agriculture, we can get this. This can be done. Okay,
let me go back to where I started from, about this Maputo Declaration, 1.4%, that what would you recommend? A budget is a proposal.
Yes.
The National Assembly is still going to look at it.
Yes.
What would be your proposal to the National Assembly in considering the Appropriation Bill 2026, particularly as the President mentioned, Bank of Agriculture, that is expected to do a lot of things, and then collaboration with the private sector. Specific expectations.
Well, my expectation is that the National Assembly, being very close to the grassroots, particularly the House of Reps and the Senate, would prioritize agriculture and increase the budget to at least 4.7% of the budget. I expect them to do that. Secondly, I expect them to reprioritize the colleges and universities of agriculture and ensure that we organize them and put money in them to retool, to reskill. I believe that Bank of Agriculture should attract more private capital than government funding. Government funding is limited. It cannot be enough for developing agriculture. And I believe we can make this happen. Now, for me, in 2026, what we expect is that Nigeria will have a very big boost to its agriculture, particularly because of the development in Lagos State. Lagos is building the largest food logistics hub. They are building middle-level market. They've set up a transport logistics company. They set up fund for agriculture, which is 500 billion produced for Lagos Fund. With all of this capital coming together, if you put them together, Nigeria would see, going by the federal government budget, over 10% contribution to agriculture if you put all these funds together. And that would be a major push for the development of agriculture in Nigeria.
Well, on that note, I would like to thank you very much, Princess J. Samuel, the chairman of the Origin Tech Group, for joining us on This Day Live, the Sunday talk show, to discuss agriculture, priorities, and expectations in 2026. Thank you very much indeed.